Prologue. The Dark Nexus. The air was thick with an eerie tension, a heavy silence overshadowing the forest. Moonlight filtered through the branches, casting silvery patches on the ground, illuminating the path where Elena and her friends had ventured late one fateful night. What began as an adventurous trek into the woods had morphed into a harrowing confrontation with something far more sinister than the tales that had lured them there. Suddenly, the shadows shifted, darkening in a way that felt almost alive. A figure cloaked in darkness emerged, ethereal and haunting. Its form was fleeting, shifting between the trees, as though it were nothing more than a collective nightmare woven from the ancient fears of humankind. With each step it took, the world around it seemed to wither. The air chilled, and the vibrant colors of the forest faded to grays and blacks. The only defining feature of the shadow figure were two piercing green eyes that glowed like lanterns in the dark, cutting through the gloom as they turned toward the children. Elena stood frozen, her breath caught in her throat, as the presence filled her with equal parts dread and fascination. Around her, Jake's grip tightened around Mia's hand, his knuckles pale. The bond of friendship they had always relied upon felt fragile in that moment, as though they were mere strings waiting to be severed by the darkness. "Is it real?" Mia whispered, her voice trembling as she stared wide-eyed at the shadow. Before they could react further, the figure lunged, moving with an unnatural grace, a flurry of darkness closing the distance between them in the blink of an eye. Elena could feel the raw energy surging from it, like a storm charging for impact. In that heartbeat, memories of the stories she had grown up with flooded her mind, tales of realms colliding, guardians lost, and the delicate balance that held their world safe. "Run," she yelled, the command escaping her lips as she turned on her heels, instinct urging her to flee. They dashed away, hearts pounding, the oppressive darkness pursuing them like a predator stalking its prey. The laughter of the shadows echoed eerily, wrapping around their legs and pulling at the edges of their sanity, but Elena refused to look back. After reaching the safety of their own world, they collapsed into the familiar embrace of their surroundings, the trees morphing from foreboding specters into steadfast guardians. But as the initial rush of adrenaline subsided, dread settled in the pit of Elena's stomach. A sudden realization washed over them. This was not an isolated incident. It was part of a larger tapestry woven between their world and Aetheria. The shadow figure was a manifestation of the instability emanating from the portals that connected their two realities. Previously understood as mere folklore, the portals that had kept their worlds in balance were now fraying at the seams, the boundaries between light and dark growing dangerously thin. "You saw it too, right?" Jake's voice broke the silence, his gaze flickering between them, searching for affirmation. Mia nodded, eyes still wide with shock. "What was that thing?" "It felt familiar, like it was waiting for us." Elena swallowed hard, her mind racing. "I think it's a consequence of something bigger." The legend spoke of shadows seeking to disrupt the balance. What if? Her voice trailed off as she pieced together fragments of the prophecy she had once dismissed as myth. A vision of herself as the bridge between the worlds flashed in her mind, a beacon of hope intertwined with the looming malevolence that hung over them. "We need to understand what's happening," she asserted, a flame of determination igniting within her. "There must be more about these portals and the shadows tied to them. We're in more danger than we realized." As the dark night settled around them like a heavy shroud, they couldn't shake the feeling that something had irrevocably shifted. The call of adventure had brought them to this juncture, but with it came an ominous weight of responsibility. The shadows were no longer just figments of tales. They were real and irrevocably connected to their fates. Determined to uncover the truth and confront the darkness they had unwittingly invited into their lives, Elena and her friends steeled themselves for the journey ahead. They would face the instability that threatened both their world and Aetheria and, together, uncover the secrets hidden within the echoes of shadows. Chapter 1. Strange Occurrences. Elena awoke to a crisp autumn morning, the rosy fingers of dawn creeping through her window, casting light upon her room and illuminating the remnants of dreamscapes from the night before. Yet, unlike most mornings, a heavy weight settled on her chest as she recalled the haunting figure from the forest. Goosebumps prickled her skin at the thought of those penetrating green eyes, and the thrill of magic mingled uneasily with the fear of encroaching shadows. The walk to school was far from ordinary. As she made her way down Maple Street, something felt amiss. The trees, usually vibrant with amber and gold leaves, appeared muted, their colors dulled as if a gray filter had been placed over them. Elena paused, tilting her head slightly, her heart racing. She almost expected the whispers of voices riding on the wind, memories echoing from the library in Aetheria, but instead, there was only a strange silence, one that felt too heavy, too foreboding. When she reached her school, the atmosphere inside was thick with murmurs. Students clustered together, their expressions ranging from concern to confusion. "Did you hear about the crops?" someone asked, and the question caught Elena's attention. "What crops?" she inquired, moving closer to the group. "It's the Henderson's farm," one girl explained, her voice laced with disbelief. "They say their entire field of corn is wilting overnight. It's like something is sucking the life out of it." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Is that true? How could that happen?" "They think it's some sort of disease, but it seems odd that it would hit so suddenly," the girl replied, shivering slightly. And the old man down the road said he heard whispers in the night, soft voices calling to him. He swears the shadows in his yard are moving on their own. As the evidence began to pile up, unease trickled through her. This was more than just peculiar occurrences. It felt eerily connected to the darkness she had faced in the forest. She remembered the way shadows had coiled and twisted, whispering promises of fear. The thought of it made her skin crawl. After class, she joined Jake and Mia in the cafeteria, their usual booth feelings strangely charged. They were already deep in discussion, a half-eaten plate of fries left forgotten between them. "Did you notice the way the shadows have been shifting?" Mia asked, glancing between them. "It's as if they're alive, watching." Jake bobbed his head enthusiastically, his brow knitted in concern. "And it isn't just the crops. I swear I saw a shadow dart across the street yesterday while I was headed home. I turned to look, but there was nothing there." Elena felt a rush of urgency, the pieces starting to fit together. It's all connected. The wilting crops, the whispers, the shadows. Something is wrong, and I think it has to do with the portals. "What do you mean?" Jake asked, leaning closer, intrigued. "The balance between our world and Aetheria is off," Elena explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "I saw a shadow figure in the forest, and I think it was looking for something, or trying to send a message. These occurrences, they seem like signs." Mia frowned. "But what are we supposed to do? We can't just ignore it. It feels dangerous." "We can investigate," Elena suggested, determination igniting within her. "If we can track down where these shadows are coming from, maybe we can stop whatever is causing this decay." "I'm in," Jake declared, bolstered by Elena's conviction. "We can head over to the Hendersons' farm after school. If we see anything strange, we can start putting it all together." Mia nodded, though a hint of fear flickered in her eyes. "All right, but we need to be careful. We don't know what we're up against. If these shadows can move and manipulate things, we need to watch our backs." After finishing their lunch, they made their way to the Hendersons' farm, the crisp autumn air wrapping around them like a shroud. The trip felt longer than usual, tension hanging in the air, and every crack of a branch or a rustle of leaves made Elena jump. As they approached the farm, they were met with a disheartening sight. Rows of corn stood withered and lifeless, their stalks drooping as if they had succumbed to a deep, haunting sorrow. An old wooden sign swaying gently in the breeze read, "Henderson Farm. Established 1823. "Wow, this is worse than I thought," Jake observed, looking grim. "It's like the life has been drained from here." Elena stepped forward, taking in the scene. There were strange shapes in the shadows, flickering at the corner of her vision, glimpses of movement that danced along the edges of the cornfield. She knew deep down that they were not alone. "Let's split up and see if we can find anything unusual," Elena suggested, her voice steady despite the worry gnawing at her gut. "If we stick together, We can cover more ground and meet back here in a little while." As they nodded in agreement, the air thickened, charged with an unspoken fear. Each of them felt it, an instinctive recognition of the danger lurking just beyond the edge of their vision. Elena turned her gaze back to the fields, shadows unfurling like tendrils from the dying crops, whispering secrets only they could hear. She took a deep breath, the chill of foreboding sinking into her bones as she ventured into the heart of the darkness looming over the farm, determined to face whatever awaited them, to illuminate the shadows veiling the truth lurking within her hometown. Chapter 2. The Hidden Library. The air was heavy with an otherworldly silence as Elena, Jake, and Mia stepped cautiously into the overgrown path leading deeper into the woods, their footsteps muffled by a carpet of fallen leaves. Sunlight filtered through the thick canopy above, creating dappled patterns on the forest floor. The atmosphere felt charged, each rustle from the underbrush causing their hearts to race as they recalled the shadows they had witnessed at the Hendersons' farm. "We need to find that hidden library," Elena declared, the determination in her voice unwavering. "It's said to hold ancient texts about Aetheria's magic, maybe even secrets about the portals." Mia shivered at the thought but nodded. "If it really exists, it might give us insight into the chaos blooming around us. What if there's something written about those shadows?" Jake stepped ahead, excitement blending with caution. "I've heard whispers about it, you know? Old folks in town talk about legends like it's a fairy tale, but maybe it's real. They said it's hidden away, but there might be clues scattered around to lead us there." Elena recalled the cryptic stories passed down through generations. There's a passage in the old town records about a library where knowledge and magic intertwine. It mentioned that only those who seek the truth can find it, hidden in plain sight among the trees. As they ventured deeper, they came upon a clearing marked by a twisted oak with silver bark, its gnarled branches curling toward the sky. Shadows danced at its base, and Elena felt a shiver race down her spine. "This feels like a significant place. I think we should search around here." Drawing closer, Jake noticed unusual markings on the tree, barely visible beneath a layer of moss. "Look at this. It looks like some kind of script." Elena rushed over, brushing away the moss with trembling fingers. The markings were carved into the bark, in an archaic language she had seen before, fragments of spells and magical glyphs from the texts she had studied in secret. "It's a key," she breathed, "but it's incomplete. We need to find the rest." Mia leaned in closer, searching for more clues. "Maybe there are other symbols around that can lead us to the rest of the riddle." The elders always spoke of the library as a living entity. It changes and adapts based on the seeker. They spread out, heads low, scanning the area for more signs. Minutes turned into an hour, and frustration bubbled beneath the surface until Jake let out a triumphant shout. "I found something!" He waved them over, pointing to a series of stones arranged in a peculiar formation near the roots of the twisted oak. They encircled a small, circular patch of earth where the grass appeared greener, more vibrant than the surrounding area. "This looks like it might be part of the clue." Elena knelt down beside him, inspecting the stones. "There are symbols on them too." She traced her fingers over the engraved lines, feeling a tingling energy pulse beneath her touch, as if the stones themselves were alive. "They're direction markers? Where do they lead?" Mia asked, her excitement rekindling as she peered over Elena's shoulder. With each stone deciphered, they realized they formed an intricate map that pointed deeper into the woods, away from the path they had initially followed. "Looks like we're headed that way," Elena said, her heart racing at the prospect of discovery. As the trio ventured onward, the eerie silence enveloped them once again, only broken by the soft rustle of their movements through the dense underbrush. Each step felt like a leap into the unknown, the shadows shifting as if keeping time with their pulses. Eventually, they arrived at the base of a steep hill covered in thick foliage. A narrow path snaked upward, and as they climbed, Elena could feel the air growing heavier, as if imbued with magic that crackled with anticipation. At the top, they emerged onto a small plateau blanketed with wildflowers that seemed to pulse with color. In the center stood a doorway crafted from intertwined branches and carved stone, its archway draped in shimmering vines that sparkled in the dwindling sunlight. "Is this it?" Mia gasped, eyes wide as wonder painted her expression. "The libraries?" Elena stepped forward, her heart pounding. The air around the archway hummed, alive with energy, a familiar resonance echoing the power she had sensed before. "It has to be. We're close." Trying the arch, she found the entrance surprisingly warm to the touch. Hesitant but emboldened, she leaned in, and with a gentle push, the doorway creaked open to reveal a dim, cavernous space illuminated by a soft, ethereal glow. Ancient tomes lined the walls, their spines embossed with gold, and scrolls hung from the ceilings like forgotten secrets waiting to be unveiled. As they stepped inside, a gentle whisper filled the air, swirling around them like a choir of voices. "Seekers of truth," it intoned, "your presence has awakened the library." "What does that mean?" Jake murmured, wide-eyed. Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they had a greater purpose in this place. Past the shelves and tables laden with dust, something called to her. "I think the library holds clues about Aetheria, about the shadows and the prophecy tied to me." Determination flooded her veins. "We must find the texts that explain what's happening. We have to unravel this before dark forces engulf our world." As they dispersed through the rows of ancient texts, Elena's heart raced in sync with the quiet pulse of the library. If there were answers to be found, she would seek them out. Each book, each scroll promised the gateway to knowledge that could change everything. Among the shelves, she caught the glint of a silver-bound tome, its cover embossed with a familiar crest, a twin-tailed phoenix that resembled the one found in the text she and Mia had studied. She felt drawn to it, as if it pulsed with the same energy that connected her to the portal. With reverence, she pulled it from the shelf and opened it. The pages were filled with illustrations and writings she could barely comprehend, but one passage stood out, the mention of a prophecy. Her breath caught in her throat as she read aloud. "When shadows swell and darkness seeks to break the light, one will rise, born of both worlds, to bridge the divide and restore the balance. The keeper of the gateway, a whisperer of forgotten truths, shall face the shadowed past to reclaim the unfolding dawn." A chill rushed through her, igniting a spark of understanding. "This is about me," she murmured, the weight of destiny settling heavily on her shoulders. "I'm the one who has to face this darkness." Mia and Jake turned toward her, eyes wide with concern and awe. "What does it mean, Elena?" Mia asked, her voice steady despite the uncertainty surrounding them. "It means we have a role to play," Elena replied, confidence blooming amid her fears. "The shadows are rising, and it's up to us to uncover their secrets and reclaim the balance between our worlds. But first, we must learn everything we can from this library." Encouraged by their unwavering support, Elena dove deeper into the tome, their fates now intertwined with the fate of both Aetheria and the human world. In the hidden library, under the watchful gaze of ancient wisdom, a new chapter of their journey began, one steeped in magic, danger, and the promise of redemption. Chapter 3. The Prophecy of the Bridge. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over the clearing as Elena and her friends settled around the gnarled roots of the ancient oak tree. Enthusiasm hummed in the air, mingling with the scent of earth and blooming wildflowers. Today, they would delve deeper into the hidden library they had discovered, hoping to uncover secrets that could protect their hometown from the encroaching darkness. "Are you sure this place exists?" Jake asked, tracing the jagged outline of an old map that the group had unearthed the previous evening. His brow furrowed with skepticism. Mia leaned in closer, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "According to the legends, it's located deep in the woods, past the river bend and the old stone altar. If the tales are true, we might find texts that help us unlock hidden aspects of our powers, or even information about that shadow we saw." Elena felt the excitement building within her, like the rush of magic sparking at her fingertips. "If there's even a chance we can learn more about Aetheria and what we're supposed to do, we have to try." With renewed determination, they set off into the woods, following the winding path outlined on the map. The trees swayed gently, almost as if whispering secrets to each other as they trekked deeper into the heart of the forest. After what seemed like hours, they finally stumbled upon a crumbling stone structure, half hidden by thick vines and bark. "This must be it," Elena breathed, her heart quickening at the sight. The remnants of the library were both magnificent and haunting, echoed by the tales of wisdom it once housed. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of old paper. Shelves creaked under the weight of ancient tomes, their spines faded and stories yearning to be told. As they wandered through the labyrinth of books, Elena felt a strange connection to the place, humming softly with the magical energies that lingered in the air. Suddenly, Elena's eyes caught a glimmer among the shelves, a beautifully bound book that pulsed with a warm, inviting glow. With a swift movement, she reached for it, her fingers brushing against the leather cover. As she opened the tome, brilliant golden light spilled forth and wrapped around them, illuminating the shadows. The book was filled with cryptic images and fragmented text depicting a prophecy. In the heart of the bridge, where worlds entwine, a guardian shall rise, through blood and design, with courage and light, and friends side by side. To balance the dark, their power shall guide. "What does it mean?" Mia asked, her voice barely a whisper, awestruck by the ancient words. Elena stared at the text, piecing together fragments and comprehending the implication. "This must be about me, about my role as a bridge between our worlds. But what does it mean to balance the dark?" Jake hesitated, fear evident in his gaze. As Elena wrestled with his question, a thought flickered in her mind, making her heart race. "There's more to it. My family has always been connected to this prophecy. My grandmother, she used to tell me stories about keeping the balance between realms, the guardians of our bloodline." "Your family history?" Mia ventured, her eyes wide. "You never mentioned that before." "I didn't think it was important," Elena admitted, feeling the weight of her lineage pressing down on her. "But now it makes sense. My grandmother mentioned a keeper of the bridge, and stories of bloodlines intertwined with magic. Perhaps it's why the shadows seem drawn to me." Before she could elaborate on her family's legacy, shadows flickered at the edges of the library, dark forms coiling like smoke. The sudden chill in the air sent a shiver across her spine. "We need to act fast," she said, gripping the book tightly. "If the shadows are drawn here, it confirms what we feared. Something is trying to disrupt the balance." As the shadows darted closer, Elena focused. She needed to harness her powers to protect her friends and the precious knowledge surrounding them. Drawing upon all she had learned, she called forth a barrier of light, a radiant shield that pulsed with energy. The shadows recoiled, hissing like angry serpents. Elena glanced at her friends, determination blazing in their eyes. This was only the beginning. They would not let darkness again threaten their worlds. Armed with newfound strength and the prophecy guiding them, they stepped into the fray, ready to confront the challenges that awaited. The shifting shadows coalesced into forms that seemed to beckon from the depths of darkness, sinister yet compelling. Elena could almost feel their intent, an echo of her fears manifesting before her. "Stay together," she commanded as they braced for the onslaught, the barrier of light inadvertently illuminating truths hidden within the depths of shadows. With a surge of energy, she hurled a pulse of light toward the nearest shadow. It collided with the darkness, dispersing it momentarily. Yet, the shadows were relentless, reforming and whirling like a tempest. In the heat of the moment, something primal within Elena stirred. A memory of her grandmother's voice resonated through her mind, words spilling unbidden. "The bridge is forged through light, Elena. To wield it, you must embrace both parts of your heritage, light and shadow." Drawing a deep breath, Elena opened her heart to the shadows, her mind racing to comprehend the harmony of existence they represented. In that split second, she realized that to confront the darkness, she couldn't simply fight. She had to understand it. "Stop," she shouted, her voice echoing against the stone walls. The shadows hesitated, drawn toward her raw, unfiltered emotion. "I am the guardian of the bridge. I do not fear you. I welcome you. With that declaration, the frenzied energy around her shifted, the shadows swaying as if caught in a gentle embrace. The air thickened with anticipation. With her courage, she extended her light and shadow in tandem. Together, they created a presence that melded their powers, a vibrant kaleidoscope of colors that connected with the swirling darkness. The shadows softened, their forms reshaping into more defined figures, haunted but somehow familiar. You are tied to the prophecy," one of them whispered, its voice echoing like a forgotten echo from a past life. "Yes," Elena replied, her voice steady. "I am here to learn, to reason, not to fight. We do not have to be enemies." As if in response, the shadows shifted, revealing ancient figures, guardians lost to time but familiar to Elena's heart, a reflection of her ancestors. They reached toward her, connecting with the threads of her being. "You hold the key to the balance," the shadowy figure continued. "To restore our worlds, to make them whole once more. But first you must understand both realms." A tremor of realization surged through Elena. "I need to learn about my lineage, to embrace the light, as well as the shadow." With agreement emanating from their forms, the figures began to converge. "Seek out the bloodstone," they said in unison, their voices entwined. "It lies hidden within the depths of your family's past, the truth you seek. Only then may you wield the strength necessary to face the darkness looming on the horizon." As the shadows dissipated into the ether, blending back into the library, a sense of relief washed over Elena. She had faced a fragment of the darkness without losing herself, grounding her heart in understanding and connection rather than fear. Mia and Jake rushed to her side, concern etched into their features. "What happened?" Jake asked, a mix of curiosity and fear swirling in his eyes. "I think I spoke to them," Elena replied, still reeling from the experience. "They are tied to my family, a part of the prophecy. They want me to find something called the Bloodstone. It could be the very key to balancing our worlds." Mia clasped Elena's shoulder, her expression resolute. "Then we'll find it together, whatever it takes." Elena was filled with a sense of purpose that overshadowed any fear. "And in the process, I will uncover the truth of my family's history. Together, we will protect our town from the shadows that seek destruction." With newfound clarity, they turned their gaze back to the sprawling walls of the library. The remnants of light and shadow lingered where convergence had occurred, knowledge pulsing through every corner, the echoes of a powerful lineage awaiting reclamation. This was only the beginning, and armed with the prophecy and the bond of friendship, Elena felt ready to bridge the gap between worlds, ready to embrace the legacy she was meant to fulfill. Chapter 4: Tests of Power. The hidden library felt alive, its walls whispering secrets of ages past, and its shelves beckoning with the promise of discovery. After unveiling the unsettling prophecy and confronting the shadows, Elena, Mia, and Jake felt a greater weight upon their shoulders. They knew they needed to strengthen their powers to face the looming darkness. Under a vaulted archway draped in ancient vines, Elena settled at a weathered oak table. The bound tome she had discovered lay open before her, its pages shimmering with ethereal light. "Look here," she called to her friends, tracing her finger over an illustration that depicted trials, the trials of the Guardian. Each illustrated test represented a facet of magic, from controlling elemental forces to bending shadows and embracing light. "I think we need to undergo these trials to better understand our powers," Elena proposed, her heart quickening at the thought of delving deeper into Aetheria's magic. "If we're going to confront the shadows, we have to be ready." Mia nodded enthusiastically, her eyes shining with excitement. "It makes sense. These trials could unlock the potential we don't even know we have." Jake, however, lingered at the edge of the table, uncertainty shadowing his features. "And what if we fail? What if I can't do it?" "Failing is part of learning," Mia reassured, stepping closer and placing a hand on Jake's shoulder. "It's not just about the end goal. We're in this together." Elena took a deep breath, feeling the familiar warmth of their connection. "We're stronger together." Each of us has something unique to offer. With determination, they decided to begin the trials immediately. As they moved to the center of the library, Elena could feel the air thickening with anticipation, the walls resonating with magic as they prepared to face the challenges that would come. Their first test manifested as a flicker of light illuminating a doorway at the far end of the room. "This will be the trial of fire," Elena announced. "We need to ignite the flames of our magic to pass through." Mia stepped forward, her posture confident. "I'll go first." She raised her hands and closed her eyes, focusing intently. A vibrant orange glow erupted around her, spiraling like embers into the air. With a flick of her wrist, flames danced to life at her fingertips, pulsating with heat and intensity.
"Wow, Mia."
"That's incredible," Elena exclaimed, watching in awe. Mia opened her eyes and grinned, the flames morphing into gentle sparks. "Let's see what else I can do." She filled the room with a warm, golden light that flickered like sunlight, creating a radiant halo around them. "All right, your turn, Jake," Elena encouraged, turning to her friend. Jake stepped up hesitantly, the weight of expectations settling on him. "I don't know if I can do this." He clenched his fists, a mix of frustration and fear bubbling inside him. "Just trust yourself," Elena said, willing warmth into his heart through their shared connection. "Focus on what makes you feel powerful." With growing reluctance, Jake placed his hands before him and concentrated. He envisioned a flicker of fire but only managed to summon a glimmer of orange light that fizzled out almost immediately. The disappointment shadowing his face was palpable. "Nice try," Mia offered supportively, but Jake felt a tightening knot of frustration within him. "Let me try again," he insisted, lining up for another attempt. This time, however, as he closed his eyes, he felt the weight of their gazes crushing him. Shaking off the self-doubt, he focused on the warmth of their friendship, drawing on the bond they'd nurtured. But as he opened his eyes once more, all that emerged was a wisp of smoke, curling up before blinking out of existence. "I can't do this," he muttered, the words barely escaping his lips. "Maybe I should step back from the trials." "No," Elena exclaimed, reaching out and grasping his arm. "You're just getting started, Jake. This is a journey, and we're all struggling to understand our strengths." He sighed, looking between Elena and Mia. "But you both are succeeding." "Success isn't measured by how we perform in one moment," Mia interjected, her voice resolute. "Every trial teaches us more about ourselves. Explore what's deep inside you." Feeling the support of his friends, Jake took a moment to breathe deeply. He could feel the flickering of disappointment threatening to extinguish the flame of determination within him. But he remembered why he had come this far. He wanted to be there for Elena, to stand firm against the shadows. "Okay, I'll try one last time," he said, newfound resolve sweeping through him. As he focused again, something shifted within him, an ember of courage ignited. He pictured the warmth of camaraderie, the spark of laughter they shared. Drawing in energy from the library itself, he surrendered to the magic around him. "I can do this," he whispered, channeling his energy toward his palms. With a surge of unexpected passion, a brilliant flame burst forth, bright and alive, wrapping around him in a radiant glow. "Jake, you did it!" Elena cheered, astonishment lighting her eyes. Jake's lips curled into a hesitant smile, disbelief giving way to exhilaration. "I did," he breathed, marveling at the warmth emanating from his hands. Mia stepped forward, laughter bubbling forth.
"See?
You just needed to believe." As they moved forward, they entered the next trial, a swirling vortex of shadow and light hovering in the center of the library, the trial of balance. The task was to maintain equilibrium between the two opposing forces, neither allowing the shadows to overpower the light nor letting the light consume the shadows entirely. "Okay, we've achieved some of our magic," Elena said, her heart racing at the sight of the vortex. "Now we need to work together, combining our powers." Mia focused her energy into incandescent tendrils of light, while Jake drew on the newfound strength he felt within him, channeling his efforts into the dark facets of the shadow. Yet, As they began to weave their energies together, Jake felt a rumbling uncertainty stirring in his chest. "Wait," he called out as the shadows threatened to overtake their light, pushing back hard against their combined force. "I can't hold on to my end. Just concentrate, Jake," Mia urged, her voice steadying him. "Find internal strength. We cannot let fear dictate our actions." Elena felt herself straining, visions flickering in the vortex that echoed her doubts. "We can do this. Trust in each other," she cried, desperate for them all to embrace their powers as one. In that moment of vulnerability and connection, Jake let go of his fear. He envisioned not just his magic, but the trust and bond he shared with Elena and Mia. They were unified in purpose, and he drew on that connection like a tether grounding him in reality. With their energies in harmony, a brilliant light exploded from within the vortex, enveloping them in warmth. In that instant, the shadows and light swirled together, merging in a kaleidoscope of colors. The opposites danced harmoniously, creating patterns that illustrated the beauty of balance. As the vortex calmed, they stood at its center, awash in the soft, golden light. They had not only succeeded in overcoming the trial, they had also deepened their bond in the process. "We did it!" Elena shouted, joy erupting from her heart. The vortex shimmered brightly around them as the light began to fade. But Jake still wrestled with conflicting emotions, uncertainty creeping back in. "I was struggling," he admitted, his pride wavering. "What if I can't do it again?" Mia moved to his side, placing her hand over his shoulder reassuringly. "It's okay to struggle. We all face challenges. Nothing grows in comfort zones." Elena joined them, wrapping her arms around both Jake and Mia. "We're all learning together. Each trial we face only makes us stronger. Remember that." With each other's support, they stepped away from the vortex, the trials having transformed them in ways they were only beginning to understand. They had embraced their powers, faced fears, and learned lessons that would prepare them for the challenges yet to come. As they gathered their strength, they knew the shadows were still out there, lurking at the edges of their world. But with each passing test, the bonds of friendship and magic strengthening, they felt a glimmer of hope lighting their way forward. The journey had only just begun, and together, they would bridge the realms, standing united against the forces threatening to unravel everything they held dear. Chapter 5: The Gathering Storm. The tranquil peace that had settled over Arbavale quickly began to unravel. The air grew thick with tension as dark clouds loomed on the horizon, casting eerie shadows over the once sunny meadow. Elena could feel a sense of urgency creeping into the atmosphere, the same urgency that filled her chest whenever she thought about Aetheria and the lurking darkness threatening their worlds. After completing the trials, the trio had believed they were making progress. They clung to the hope that they could harness their newfound powers, but an unsettling undercurrent weaved through the air, whispering warnings of the turbulence to come. "This can't be good," Jake muttered, squinting toward the distant horizon. "It feels like the calm before a storm." Mia nodded, her brows furrowed as she scanned their surroundings. "We need to remain vigilant. If the magic is destabilizing, it could lead to all sorts of unpredictable consequences." Elena recalled the ancient warning from the prophecy about balance. What if the instability is drawing darker creatures into our realm? We need to figure out what's causing this before it spirals out of control. As if to punctuate her words, a shrill scream pierced the air. The trio shared a glance of alarm before racing toward the sound. The path led them deeper into the woods, where the trees seemed to bend and twist unnaturally, threatening to ensnare them in their gnarled branches. They burst into a small clearing, and the scene before them chilled Elena to the bone. A group of dark creatures, distorted and twisted in form, loomed over a frightened deer trapped in a net woven from shadows and dark energy. Its frantic eyes darted back and forth, desperately searching for a way to escape. "Get back!" Elena shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. She raised her hands, ready to summon the light she had wielded in the trials. But deep down, she felt a growing unease. These creatures were unlike any she had faced before, wild and destructive, drawn out of the void as if they were part of the very shadows that sought to consume them. Mia stepped beside her, channeling warmth through her fingertips, igniting glowing tendrils of fire ready to drive the creatures back. "We can't let them take the deer. It's innocent." With a nod of determination, Jake positioned himself alongside the girls, confidence igniting within him once more. "Let's do this together. Focus on the light." As they surged forward, the shadow creatures turned their attention toward the trio, their forms writhing as they snapped and snarled. The world grew dimmer around them, the vibrant colors of the forest bleeding into a palette of gray, tinted with shadows. Elena thrust her hands forward, conjuring a blast of radiant light that illuminated the clearing. The shadows flinched, momentarily retreating from the overwhelming brightness. "Now, Mia." With practiced precision, Mia unleashed her fire, sending it arcing toward the creatures. The flames danced like molten ribbons, igniting the air with warmth and energy. Jake focused his growing power, standing firmly beside them, channeling his strength to create a barrier that shielded the deer from the rush of dark energy. But suddenly, the horde of shadow creatures surged through their defenses, their forms swirling with malice. The bitter scent of smoke filled the air as the reality of their situation sunk in. They were outnumbered, and the creatures pressed in closer, their dark forms whispering chilling taunts. "Flee while you can, child of light," one shadow hissed, its voice echoing like rustling leaves. "The bridge you protect will crumble, and all realms will bow to darkness." Elena clenched her fists, defiance surging within her. "We will not let you take anything from this realm. We protect what is ours." But shadows thickened around them, blocking out the sun's warmth. Elena's thoughts raced as she struggled to understand their next move, to keep the darkness at bay. Just then, from among the seething shadows, a familiar form emerged. The shadow figure she had encountered before, cloaked in darkness and malice, stepped forward with an air of sinister confidence. Elena's heart pounded in her chest. "You begin?" Guardian of the bridge," the figure said, its voice dripping with mockery. "How splendid to see you floundering in a sea of creatures unmatched in ferocity. You are merely delaying the inevitable." Mia and Jake flanked Elena, steadfast in their resolve. "What do you want from us?" Mia demanded. "I desire only to watch as your flickering light is snuffed out," the figure taunted, weaving its fingers through the air as if conducting a somber symphony. "The barrier between realms, once strong, is weakening. Aetheria is destabilizing, and soon the darkness will spill unchecked into your world." Elena felt a cold dread creeping up her spine, the truth behind the words resonating with the turbulent magic in the air. "Why are you doing this?" "Because it is amusing, watching you struggle against your own fate." The shadow figure laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers through Elena's resolve. "You think connections can save you? Love, friendship, light? They're but illusions in the turmoil of power." "Stop," Jake shouted, stepping forward. "You don't understand what we're capable of. We won't let you win." With that declaration, he gathered his focus, channeling the magic that surged through him. A bright aura enveloped Jake, shimmering and powerful, illuminating the shadows momentarily. The dark creatures hesitated, momentarily thrown off balance by the surge of light emanating from them. "Quick, concentrate," Elena urged, her heart racing. "We need to push back the darkness." Together, the trio conjured their energies, intertwining light, fire, and strength to form a brilliant shield that enveloped the deer and sent the shadows reeling. The clearing burst with luminescence, pushing back against the onslaught of darkness, but they still felt the pressure building. In the midst of the battle, the shadow figure narrowed its eyes, revealing a glimmer of frustration. "You are but a flickering flame in an all-consuming night. I will return," it spat, dissolving into a cloud of shadow and retreating with the creatures. Elena felt the dark energy dissipating as the threat withdrew, but remained resolute. "We need to reinforce the barriers between realms and find out what's causing this instability." Jake leaned against a nearby tree, panting heavily, the adrenaline of the encounter fading.
But how?
That thing knows us now. It'll come back with more forces. Mia frowned, her brow furrowed as she knelt beside the trembling deer, caressing its neck gently. It's all right now, you're safe, she cooed softly, grounding herself in the moment. But we need to find a way to understand what's happening. Something is causing this instability to spread among creatures returned from the realm of shadows. Elena knelt alongside Mia, feeling the pulse of magic around them. We can't face this alone. If the prophecy speaks of a guardian, maybe we need to investigate my family's history further. There may be clues tied to the bloodstone. Mia nodded thoughtfully. And we should seek out wisdom from the elders in Arbavale. They might know more about this darkness. Jake stood tall, determination flooding his veins once more. Then we need to move quickly. There's no time to waste. Together, we'll find a way to stabilize Aetheria and protect our world. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows behind them, the trio took a moment to breathe and center themselves. The storm was gathering, both within and beyond the borders of their realms. But with courage and collaboration, they would fight to keep the darkness at bay, united as guardians of the bridge. Their journey was far from over. The trials that awaited them promised to test not only their magic, but the very strength of their bonds. And it was in those connections that they would find the true power to confront the shadows threatening their worlds. Chapter 6: Shadows Unmasked. The air was heavy with expectation as Elena, Mia, and Jake ventured deeper into the heart of the woods. The encounter with the shadow creatures had left its mark, both physically and emotionally, and the path ahead felt fraught with danger. The shadow figures' taunts echoed in Elena's mind, a reminder of the darkness they had faced and the challenges yet to come. We need to get to the Elder Grove, Elena urged, leading her friends toward the ancient heart of the forest. Legends spoke of a sacred place where the spirits of the elders resided, a location that pulsed with the essence of Aetheria. It was here, she hoped, they would find clarity and strength against their gathering foes. Mia kept a watchful eye on their surroundings, sensing the growing tension in the air. Elena, are you sure about facing that shadow figure again? It knew how to manipulate our fears. I have to, Elena replied, her voice steadier than she felt. If that figure is a fragment of Malakar's essence, then it holds a key to understanding the true nature of the darkness we're facing. I can't let fear control me. We need to confront this head-on. As they advanced through the thickening underbrush, a chilling sensation washed over them, like a cold wind sweeping through a summer day. The sun hung low, casting twisted shadows that danced ominously on the forest floor, and with every step, Elena felt the weight of impending doom pressed down upon her. Finally, they reached the Elder Grove, where ancient trees stood like guardians, their branches woven together as if in a protective embrace. At the center of the grove lay a shimmering pool, reflecting the sky's deep hues. The air hummed with energy, vibrating with the memories of the past. Here we are, Mia said softly, her eyes scanning the area. This is where we'll find answers. Just as they moved to approach the pool, the air shifted, and the shadow figure materialized before them, taking form from the very darkness that surrounded them. The figure seemed to ripple, its shape warping as it emerged fully, revealing the familiar ghastly visage that they had encountered before. "Ah, you return," its voice dripped with mockery. "Such determination, yet utterly futile. You tread upon the path of your own demise." Elena felt her pulse quicken, but she held her ground. "We know you are a fragment of Malakar. We need to understand your connection to the shadows threatening our world." Understanding, the figure sneered. "You will never grasp the depth of your own fears. I am a reflection of what he left behind, a lingering essence of grief, despair, and failure. You think you can vanquish the darkness? You lack the conviction." "No," Jake shouted, stepping forward defiantly. "You may be a part of Malakar, but you don't own us. We're more than shadows. We are light and friendship." The shadow figure laughed, the sound echoing unnaturally through the grove. "Light? Friendship? They will fade like the sunset, and when they do, darkness will engulf you." Elena felt a surge of doubt course through her. The figure's words seemed to resonate with her deepest insecurities, her fears of inadequacy, of failing her friends, of being unable to protect them from the darkness. But deep within her, a glimmer of resolve sparked to life. It was in this moment that she realized, to face the shadows, she needed to embrace the light within her. "I won't let you manipulate our fears," she declared, grounding herself in the warmth of her connection with Jake and Mia. "I will confront you, and I will not be alone." With that proclamation, Elena closed her eyes, tapping into the well of magic that resided within her. She focused on the bonds she had forged with her friends, memories flashing through her mind, their laughter, their trials, and the strength they drew from one another. Drawing upon their shared energy, she allowed the light forged by their connection to rise within her. "Together," she shouted, opening her eyes to channel her power. The light surged around them, illuminating the grove in a dazzling brilliance as flames of magic enveloped her. The shadows flickered and writhed, the shadow figure caught off guard, momentarily retreating in the face of such radiance. "Now," she called to Jake and Mia. "Let's unite our powers." With a nod, Mia summoned her fire, weaving it through the light Elena had created, and Jake, channeling his strength, formed a protective barrier around them. The energy surged and combined, crafting a swirling vortex of light that pushed back against the encroaching darkness. "Do you understand now?" the shadow figure hissed, fear mixing with rage. "You are merely feeding into your own destruction. This is not hope but delusion." Elena took a step closer, her heart pounding fiercely. "You are mistaken. This isn't just light, it's love and trust. It's everything we've built together, and it thrives even in the darkest moments." With renewed intensity, Elena focused all her energy into the barrier, pushing forward against the figure. The light flared, transforming into beams that shot toward the shadow, illuminating its twisted features. "We are more than you can ever comprehend." The shadow figure writhed, its form slowly unraveling as the blinding light pierced through the heart of its essence.
No.
"You cannot." It began to shriek, but the sound quickly turned into a cacophony of despair as the streams of light engulfed it. And then, with one final push, the shadow figure burst apart, dissipating into a haze of twilight that faded into the surrounding forest. The grove pulsed with energy as the darkness retreated, leaving only the glimmering remnants of Elena's magic behind. As the light settled, an unexpected tranquility washed over them. They stood, panting and trembling, but victorious. The shadows that had threatened Aetheria seemed to recede, as if the confrontation had severed their hold on both realms. Jake turned to Elena, his eyes wide with awe. "You did it! You confronted your fears and harnessed your powers. I couldn't have done it without both of you," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Together, we are stronger. That darkness wanted to convince us we were weak, but we proved otherwise. We've reclaimed a part of Aetheria's magic today." Mia embraced Elena tightly, her heart swelling with pride. "You are incredible. We need to continue harnessing this strength, to be prepared for whatever darkness comes our way." The three stood together in the grove, the air still humming with residual magic. They knew the challenges ahead were far from over. The storm was gathering, ready to unleash its fury upon their world. But united in purpose, they were ready to face whatever threats the shadows would conjure. As they turned to leave the grove, a soft, shimmering light emerged from the waters of the sacred pool. They paused, entranced by its brilliance. Whatever magic lay ahead would reveal itself in time, but one thing was certain: Elena, Jake, and Mia were not alone. They were warriors forged in the fires of friendship, ready to confront the gathering storm and safeguard their realms against the shadows. Chapter 7. A Fractured Balance. The air crackled with energy as Elena, Mia, and Jake gathered in their makeshift workshop at the edge of the Elder Grove. The ancient trees towered overhead, shielding them from the outside world while the remnants of their victory against the shadow figures still pulsed within them. But despite their triumph, A foreboding weight hung over the trio like a dark cloud. "Okay, let's focus on stabilizing the portals," Elena said, her voice firm as she unrolled a parchment filled with diagrams of the realm's pathways. Lines crisscrossed the page, symbolic of the connections between their worlds. "We need to reinforce the barriers to protect against any further incursions from the darkness." Mia browsed through an assortment of magical herbs and crystals strewn across the table, her brow furrowed in concentration. "We can use these ethereal crystals to enhance the barriers," she suggested. "They resonate with Aetheria's magic and should help maintain the balance." Jake, who had been pacing restlessly, paused abruptly. "But what if we're making things worse? The last time we activated the portals, more shadows came through. We need to be careful." Elena felt a sharp pang at Jake's words. His tone carried an edge of distrust, and she sensed a flicker of tension beginning to form between them. "I know the risk, Jake, but we can't just sit here and let the balance deteriorate. We need to take action." "But what if our actions are causing the imbalance?" he pressed, running a frustrated hand through his hair. "We need to consider the consequences before proceeding. We can't just let our fears dictate our choices." Elena shot back, her voice rising. "If we don't stabilize the portals, we'll lose everything. We need to trust each other." Mia, standing between them, felt the strain of the moment pulsing like a living entity. "Let's take a step back and calm down. We're all feeling the pressure, but we can't afford to turn on each other. We have to work together." Before she could calm the brewing storm, Jake turned away, his expression hardening. "It's easy for you to say that, Mia. You weren't attacked by the shadows. You haven't felt what I felt when I faced them. Neither did you think about how Elena felt." Mia countered, stepping closer to him. "We're in this together, and putting blame on each other isn't going to help any of us." Elena felt a sinking feeling take hold in her gut as she watched the tension escalate. "Jake, I would never jeopardize our safety. I promise I'll be cautious." "Cautious?" he scoffed. "If this is your idea of cautious, we're in deeper trouble than I thought." The words hung in the air like a thick fog, silencing the space between them. Elena felt the pang of betrayal. A shadow had cast itself over their friendship, seeping into their shared struggles. "We need to put our personal feelings aside for the sake of Aetheria," Mia insisted, her voice calm but firm. "If we keep arguing, we'll only make things worse." In the tense silence that followed, Elena and Jake's eyes glimmered with uncertainty, the shadows of doubt creeping into their hearts. They could feel it, the fracture forming in their trio, the beginnings of distrust that threatened to fester if left unchecked. Elena took a deep breath, forcing herself to step back from the rising tide of frustration. "Let's focus on the task at hand. We can stabilize the portals. Together." With that, they turned their attention to the diagrams, but the air felt thick with unspoken words, and the energy shifted into something heavier. They worked in silence, each of them retreating into their thoughts while accumulating layers of doubt and tension. Just as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in strokes of scarlet and violet, the ground began to tremble slightly, reminiscent of an echo from the chaotic energies swirling around them. Worry pooled in Elena's stomach as she exchanged glances with Jake and Mia. "What was that?" Jake asked, his voice betraying a hint of anxiety. Elena shot up, her heart racing. "It feels like the balance is still shifting. We need to get to the portals now." They hurried to the nearest portal, which lay just beyond the grove. As they approached, a swirling mass of shadows was already coiling around its entrance, drawn by the unstable energies they had inadvertently unleashed. Chilled by the sight, Elena gripped her friend's arms tightly. "Can't you see?" she cried, panic creeping into her voice. "We're pulling them in. We need to stop this." "No," Jake shouted, stepping forward and raising his arms. "We can contain it. We just have to push back." Elena glanced at Mia, who was shaking her head with disbelief. "We cannot fight shadows with more shadows. We need to stabilize the portal, not fight it." As the dark mass expanded, thick tendrils reached toward them, threatening to pull them into its depths. Tension exploded, uncomfortably blending urgency with distrust. We need to work together, trust each other, Elena shouted, holding onto her last thread of hope. But as Jake unleashed a flash of energy, it drew more shadows in, and the darkness surged forward. The shadows latched onto his magic, twisting it and amplifying the chaos. "Look what you've done!" Mia cried, anger flaring in her heart, directed at Jake as much as the advancing shadows. "You're only making it worse. Stop blaming me," Jake lashed out, hurt bubbling to the surface. This was never supposed to be easy. Elena felt her heart crack by the fractures dividing her friends. "We need to stop, both of you." She stepped between them as shadows swirled around them, trying to fend off the encroaching darkness. "Distrust is what leads to our demise. We must focus on the light." But as the shadows enveloped them, the darkness swelled and merged, forming shapes that echoed their worst fears. Fear of failure, of being abandoned, of watching everything they loved fall apart. Each manifestation of shadow whispered poisonous thoughts that deepened their rift. "Can we really trust one another?" the shadows hissed. "You have already lost faith, and now you are losing your power." Their magic flickered as doubt crept in like a winter chill. Elena felt herself wavering, the glow of her light dimming as frustrations turned inwards. The shadows twisted around her too closely, and she could see Jake and Mia losing their confidence, beaten down by the very darkness they sought to combat. "Listen to me," she shouted above the tumult. "If we don't come together, we will be consumed. I won't let the shadows tear us apart. I will fight for our friendship. We need to trust each other now more than ever." With her heart racing, Elena reached deep within herself, reconnecting with their shared magic, letting it wash over her like a cleansing wave. She turned her gaze onto her friends, eyes fierce. "Fight the shadows together. We are stronger united than divided." In that moment of clarity, a spark ignited within Jake and Mia. A determination flickered in their eyes as they locked onto Elena's light, realizing they couldn't afford to let their fears dictate their actions any longer. "I trust you," Jake shouted, extending his hand toward Elena, digging into the depths of his own power and channeling it toward her. "I trust us," Mia added, reaching for both of them, her voice raw with emotion. "Let's do this." Elena felt the rush of warmth surge through the air as their hands met, their energies colliding in a brilliant display of light against the shadows that threatened to consume them. Together, they formed a barrier, a brilliant beacon that cut through the darkness like a blade of light. The swirling shadows hesitated, recoiling as a wave of radiant magic surged forth from the trio, illuminating the portal before them. With one final stand, they directed their energies toward the shadows, pushing them back into the void. The darkness writhed and howled, but it wasn't strong enough to resist their combined force any longer. The shadows began to dissipate, unraveling into threads of mist that escaped into the undercurrents of the forest. As the chaotic energy that had threatened to overwhelm them faded, so did the veil of distrust that had clouded their hearts. Breathing heavily, the trio stood together at the portal's edge, eyes wide with shock and relief. "We did it," Jake whispered, all mingling with the remnants of their fear. "Yes," Elena said, her voice trembling, emotion pouring from her. "But we have to remember that this struggle is far from over. We need to work together, trust each other, to maintain the balance." Mia nodded, her gaze earnest. "We're stronger together. Let's not lose that again." As they stood shoulder to shoulder at the portal, their resolve solidified. They knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but this moment of realization kindled a flicker of hope within them. With the growing light of their unity, they could weather the storms that lay ahead, forging a path forward to restore the balance of their worlds, together as friends. Chapter 8. Alone in the Dark. Despite their recent victory over the shadows, an unsettling silence hung in the air, a heaviness that pressed down on Elena's chest. The triumph they had just shared felt overshadowed by an overwhelming tide of uncertainty. In the aftermath of their confrontation, the bonds of friendship that once felt unbreakable began to fray. Elena sat alone in the workshop, the faint glow of dawn filtering through the tall trees, casting soft rays of light that barely penetrated her troubled thoughts. She stared blankly at the shimmering pool of magic that lay in the center of their workspace, the surface calm and inviting. While it reflected the serene beauty of the forest, inside her, a storm raged. "You should have done better," a voice whispered in her mind, a cruel echo that amplified her insecurities. "You put them at risk. They won't trust you after this." Shaking her head, Elena pushed the negative thoughts away. She felt isolated, drowning beneath the weight of her worries. Mia and Jake had remained distant since the confrontation, and a rift had settled among them, creating a chasm that tore at her heart. She longed for their understanding, for the friendship that had once anchored her to this realm, yet all she could see now were the shadows lurking at the edges of their connection. "I need guidance," she murmured, gripping the worn, leather-bound ancient texts stacked before her. They contained secrets of the past, magnificent tales woven with the threads of Aetheria's magic. Flipping through the pages, she searched for passages that spoke of power, alliances, or wisdom. As she read, she felt an intoxicating pull within the words, urging her to delve deeper, to abandon her insecurities. Hours slipped by as she immersed herself in the knowledge, trying to stitch together a plan to regain her strength and connection to her friends. As the sun dipped low in the sky, a shimmering light captured her attention from the pages. Intrigued, Elena leaned closer, watching as letters and symbols began to dance and rearrange themselves, forming a vivid description of a powerful entity who could aid them. "The Guardian of the Veil," she whispered, her heartbeat quickening. "The protector of the portals, a being of great wisdom and strength." The text spoke of an ancient guardian who resided beyond the Elder Grove, hidden amidst the ethereal mists of Aetheria. It was said that this being could offer guidance to those who found themselves lost in darkness, providing insight to restore balance and harmony. Determined, Elena resolved to seek out the Guardian. If there was any hope of mending the tensions with Mia and Jake and ensuring Aetheria's safety, this being might hold the answers she desperately sought. As she gathered her essentials, a handful of crystals, herbs, and the ancient tomes, Elena pushed through her unease. She felt a flicker of excitement igniting deep within her. This journey was not just about finding a powerful ally, it was also an opportunity for her to confront her isolation and regain the light she feared she had lost. With a final glance toward the Elder Grove, she stepped into the dense, misty forest, where shadows danced between the trees, whispering secrets that were almost tangible. A sense of foreboding filled the air, the wind clinging to her skin like a shroud. Elena followed a meandering path revealed by the twilight, trusting the intuition that guided her deeper into the heart of Aetheria. The trees grew taller and denser, cloaked in a luminescent haze that shimmered like stardust. It felt both enchanting and daunting, an overwhelming sense that she was being watched. After what felt like hours of travel through the ethereal landscape, Elena stumbled upon a clearing draped in an impossible twilight, a surreal realm where time felt fractured. At the center of the clearing lay a majestic crystalline structure that glimmered with an otherworldly glow. "Guardian of the Veil, I seek your counsel," she called, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and anticipation. The wind howled in response, swirling through the clearing, and suddenly, the air shimmered in front of her. Wisps of luminous energy coalesced, forming a figure that radiated magic and wisdom. The Guardian appeared taller than the tallest trees, with eyes like molten gold, giving her a glimpse of ancient knowledge and stability. "You have sought me, child of light," the Guardian's voice reverberated around the clearing, like distant thunder. "What burdens weigh upon your heart?" Elena felt small yet emboldened under the Guardian's piercing gaze. "We face a great darkness that threatens to tear Aetheria apart. Shadows are encroaching, and my friends and I are struggling to maintain the balance. I need guidance on how to reclaim our strength and trust to fight together." The Guardian regarded her with an intensity that felt as though it penetrated her very soul. "You carry a heavy burden, but do not venture alone into darkness. You must understand that the shadows feed upon your fears, your doubts. To combat them, You must first confront the shadows within yourself. Only then can you reclaim the light you hold. Elena felt those words resonate within her. The self-doubt she had been grappling with now stood stark in front of her like a mirror reflecting her fears. "But how?" she asked, her voice breaking slightly. "How do I move beyond my doubts?" "By embracing them, for they are a part of you. Acknowledge their existence, but do not let them define you," the guardian replied. "Seek the strength that lies within friendship. The light of true connections will always prevail in the darkest of times." As the guardian spoke, a translucent vision unfolded around her. A vibrant recollection of memories with Mia and Jake filled her mind, their laughter echoing through the forest, moments of unwavering support and shared determination. Tears welled in her eyes as warmth enveloped her heart, igniting her spirit with hope. "I understand now," she said, voice clear and unwavering. "There is strength in our unity, and while we may falter, our bonds will help us stand once more." The guardian nodded, a soft smile gracing its ethereal features. "Return to them, Elena, and remember that though darkness may rise, the light is always within reach. Do not fear the shadows. Instead, use them to guide you toward understanding." A flash of brilliance illuminated the clearing, and in an instant, she was swept into the heart of the shimmering crystal structure. Elena felt her heart expand, as if glowing with the knowledge she had sought. She gathered the energy surrounding her, and a powerful pulse of light surged through her veins. As quickly as it began, the vision faded, and Elena found herself back in the clearing, the guardian now fading into the glowing mists. "Go forth, child, empowered by the knowledge of your heart. Remember, you are never truly alone in the dark," the guardian whispered, its voice lingering like a fading wind. In that moment, a renewed determination coursed through Elena. The isolation she felt began to melt away as the guardian's words etched themselves into her mind. She was capable of restoring balance, not just in Aetheria, but in her relationships. With a newfound sense of purpose, Elena turned and retraced her steps through the enchanted forest, the silvery glow of the ethereal mists guiding her path. She was no longer alone. She carried the hope within her that she could mend the rifts between her and her friends. As she emerged from the forest and approached the elder grove, she could feel their presence lingering in the air. Sensing their lingering darkness, she took a deep breath, ready to confront the challenge ahead. Together, she whispered to herself, heart resolute. She pushed forward, ready to reclaim her connection with Mia and Jake, determined to face the shadows together and emerge stronger on the other side. Chapter 9. The Council of Light. Elena stepped through the shimmering portal into Aetheria, where colors danced with vibrant hues, blues, greens, and golds, that filled her spirit with renewed hope. The air was thick with magic, tinged with an invigorating energy that whispered promises of unity and strength. Today was significant, and she could feel the weight of destiny resting upon her shoulders as she journeyed to the heart of the realm, the sacred assemblage of the Council of Light. As she navigated through the lush landscape, flowers bloomed in radiant colors, their petals shimmering like gold dust under the sun. Elena's heart raced with anticipation and anxiety. The council was composed of powerful beings, guardians of Aetheria who had overseen the balance of magic for centuries. She understood that their wisdom would be pivotal in addressing the encroaching shadows and the distressing events that had unfolded amongst her friends. Upon reaching the towering hill of luminescence, where the council convened, she paused briefly at the base of the majestic edifice, a spiral tower made entirely of crystal, which sparkled in the sunlight like millions of tiny diamonds. It was said that the council gathered here not only to deliberate, but to harness the energies of Aetheria itself. She took a deep breath, summoning her courage, and ascended the staircase adorned with engravings of ancient spells and symbols. As she arrived at the council chamber, her heart raced. Inside, a circular dais welcomed her. Surrounding it were esteemed members of the council, guardians who held dominion over elements ranging from fire to water, earth to air. They shimmered with unique forms, each one a manifestation of magic and light, radiating with a collective power that made the air buzz with anticipation. "Welcome, Elena of the Elder Grove," spoke Alicia, the ethereal embodiment of light and wisdom. Her voice was soft yet commanding, a melodious cadence that resonated throughout the chamber. "You have come seeking counsel regarding the shadows that threaten Aetheria's harmony." "Yes, wise Alicia," Elena replied, stepping forward, meeting the gazes of the council members, her heart pounding. "I bring urgent news. We face a growing darkness, shadows unleashed from the imbalance within and without. My friends and I have been working to stabilize the portals, but we need your guidance to defeat these shadows and restore balance." Elena felt a surge of energy as the council members leaned in, their interest piqued by her words. The air thickened with magic, and she sensed the swirling currents of light encircling them, weaving together their essences into something greater. "The shadows are reflections of fear, doubt, and chaos," spoke Kalen, the guardian of Terra, his voice baritone and rich, grounded like the roots of ancient trees. "They will only grow if we allow their whispers to fester in our hearts." Alicia nodded, her expression thoughtful. "What you have faced is not just a battle against external forces, but also a call to confront the shadows within yourselves. Only by harmonizing your spirits can you hope to unify the realms against this encroaching darkness." As they spoke, Elena recalled her vision of the Guardian, the words echoing in her mind. "I've felt the shadows of doubt consume me. My friends and I have been at odds since our last confrontation. We must learn to trust one another again if we are to stand against this force." "Trust is the cornerstone of unity," spoke Selene, the guardian of wind, her voice light and airy, flowing like the breeze. "You must strengthen the bonds between you. Face the fears that separate you, for only then can you harness the true power of your friendship." Elena nodded, the pieces beginning to fall into place. "We must confront our individual doubts together, share our vulnerabilities to empower one another." A murmur rippled through the council, and Alicia continued, "We have faced darkness before, and it is through the bond of our hearts that we harness the power of light. But we must also consider practical measures to strengthen our defenses against the shadows. We have resources, ancient rituals, and artifacts at our disposal." From the side, Orin, the guardian of fire, stepped forward. "While confronting shadows within yourselves is essential, we need to prepare for immediate action. I propose we harness the flame of Aetheria, a powerful magic that can be used to tie our realms. It can create barriers to shield the portals from dark energy." "That is a wise suggestion," Kalen agreed. "But we must also gather the elemental forces within Aetheria. To combat the shadows, we need to unify our strengths." Elena felt invigorated by their resolve. "If we pool our resources, we can forge a plan to overcome the incoming chaos. Together, we can create a nexus of light to protect our portals and reinforce the balance." Alicia smiled warmly at her, encouraging her confidence. "You have the spirit of a true leader, Elena. We will stand beside you and guide you as you confront both your inner shadows and the external threats looming over Aetheria." With that, the council began to craft a plan, outlining the necessary steps to fortify the barriers and conduct rituals that harnessed the elemental powers of light, earth, air, and fire. Elena felt a surge of hope filling her heart as ideas flowed like the vibrant energy surrounding them. They would work together to strengthen the portals and face the shadows as one, a unified front. "First," Alicia said, her voice ringing clear, "we must summon the elemental powers to form the flame of Aetheria. Each of you will need to gather your energies, channel them into a single beacon of light." With that, the guardians began to create a circle around her, hands raised, drawing upon their elemental essences. Elena felt the warmth pool within her chest, the strength of unity amplifying, illuminating the room like the first light of dawn breaking on a foggy morn. "Now, Elena," Alicia instructed, "it is your turn to focus on the love and connection you share with your friends. Call forth their essences and infuse our gathering with your collective spirit." Elena closed her eyes, envisioning Mia and Jake, memories of laughter, shared struggles, and bonds forged in fire flooding her mind. She could feel their presence even from a distance, each one a thread woven into the fabric of her heart. Together, she whispered, channeling the essence of their friendship into the gathering. Mia, Jake, I call upon you. The air around her surged with energy, and as the luminous flames flickered, threads of color intertwined with the elemental magic. The swirl of light intensified, resembling a cosmic dance that slowly coalesced into a singular flame rising before them.
Now,
Alicia commanded, the council raising their voices in unison. Let the light of Aetheria guide us. May it reach the hearts of your friends, uniting you as guardians against the shadows. The flame of Aetheria roared to life, brilliant and ethereal, reaching high into the skies, radiating warmth and power. Elena felt a rush of energy fill her being, and she opened her eyes to witness the dazzling display. In that moment, she knew that the journey ahead required her to be more than just strong. It called for her to be vulnerable, to nurture her friendships, and to embrace the power of unity. As the flame flickered and glowed, she could sense the shadows beginning to recede within her. The darkness whispered less fiercely, losing its grip as the light expanded. Elena's heart swelled with determination and resolve. Together, with her friends and the Council of Light, they would ignite a beacon of hope against the shadows, reclaiming their world as it was meant to be. Harmony restored, balance reinforced. Chapter 10. Allies in Unlikely Places. The flame of Aetheria blazed brightly above the Council of Light, casting a warm glow across the vast expanse of the realm. As the council members began to disperse, charged with purpose and determination to fortify the portals, Elena felt a surge of excitement coursing through her veins. Yet, amidst this triumph, a realization dawned upon her. If they were to truly stand against the encroaching shadows, they would need more than just the support of the council. They needed allies, even those from unexpected quarters. Where do we start? She asked Alicia, who remained by her side as the other guardians left to fulfill their duties. The shadows have risen in response to discord, Elena. They are drawn to fear and tension. Our most effective strategy will be to inspire unity among all beings in Aetheria, even those we once deemed enemies, Alicia explained, her golden eyes shimmering with wisdom. There are realms within Aetheria that hold past grievances, but they too feel the shadow's burden. We need to reach out to them, extending an olive branch. Elena hesitated, recalling the tales of old, a time when rival factions ruled various territories within Aetheria, each holding resentment against the others. You mean we should seek out the Glumlings? She suggested hesitantly. Yes, among others, Alicia confirmed, a proud smile forming on her lips. The Glumlings, once adversaries of the light, have always dwelled in the shadowy thickets near the Nether Vale. They are well acquainted with darkness and can offer insights into its vulnerabilities. Elena nodded, resolving herself to this daunting task. If the Guardians believed it was possible, then perhaps she, too, could find a way to bridge the divide. With a newfound sense of purpose, Elena set off toward the Nether Vale, accompanied by a flickering trail of light that lingered in her wake, a symbol of the hope they were nurturing together. The path twisted and turned, shaded by the dense treetops that occasionally filtered in slanted shafts of sunlight. With every step, she could feel the weight of her mission pressing upon her heart. Upon reaching the edge of the Glumlings' territory, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew cool, darkened by an overwhelming sense of foreboding, and the once vibrant landscape shifted to muted tones. Strange silhouettes loomed in the distance, darting between the trees like whispers of night. Be cautious, Alicia warned as they approached the entrance to the Vale. The Glumlings are wary of outsiders. They have guarded their territory against intrusions for ages, still resentful of past conflicts with the light. Elena took a deep breath and stepped forward, determined to introduce herself. Hello. I come in peace, she called into the shadows. I seek an audience with the Glumlings, leaders of the Nether Vale. We face a looming threat together, and I believe that we can become allies. For a moment, silence enveloped her, hanging heavily in the air. But then, from the shadows emerged a figure draped in ebony mist, tall and slender, with piercing violet eyes that glinted with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "You tread upon sacred ground, child of light. Why should we trust you?" the gloomling spat, its voice echoing like a distant thunderclap. Elena felt an ache of recognition in her chest. This was no ordinary confrontation. "I know of your grievances. I come not to fight, but to unite. The shadows are a common enemy now. They threaten Aetheria itself, and if we do not stand together, all we hold dear will be consumed." The gloomling studied her for a prolonged moment, its expression unreadable. "And why would we risk our strength in your struggle? You are the very light that has shunned us for centuries." "Because this time," she urged, "we are not here to argue about old grievances or ancient wars. This time, we seek to heal the rifts between us. The shadows feed on our divisions. Together, we can restore balance to Aetheria and ensure that no being, light or dark, falls victim to their chaos." The gloomling's expression softened ever so slightly, and a flicker of understanding passed in its eyes. "If you speak truth, then perhaps we shall listen. Let us convene with our kin. If you can sway the hearts of the others, we may consider your proposal." With a nod of agreement, the gloomling summoned its brethren. Shadows coalesced, and more figures emerged from the depths of the thicket, gloomlings of various forms, each radiating an aura of dark magic, yet strangely captivating. As they gathered, Elena poured forth her heart, sharing her vision of unity, trust, and collective strength. She spoke of her recent trials with Mia and Jake, of the struggles she had faced with shadows, and how even members of the council wished to forge bonds of cooperation. Slowly, the mood shifted. Some gloomlings whispered among themselves, their eyes alight with curiosity, while others remained skeptical. Eager-filled murmurs began to ripple through the crowd. One of the elder gloomlings stepped forward, his voice rich with authority. "You speak well, child of light. But trust is not given freely. What proof do you have that your kind will not turn against us should the tides of fate shift once more?" Elena paused, racking her mind for a response. She understood the gravity of their fears. "All I can offer is my commitment to lead by actions, not just words. We can show you that we share common goals. I propose a trial. Let us work together for a time, demonstrate our capacities, share truths over time, and break bread as equals." A murmur of agreement coursed through the crowd, but the elder gloomling remained quiet, considering her offer. "Very well," he finally nodded. "Let us test your resolve. We will aid you temporarily, but know this. Should you betray our trust, the shadows will be the least of your concerns." A wave of relief washed over her. "Thank you," she said, sincerity etched across her face. "Together, we can protect Aetheria." With that agreement formed, the gloomlings revealed to Elena the hidden paths and secrets that connected the realms of light and shadow, sharing wisdom spanning centuries. They contrasted their darkness with the light, teaching her about the different types of magic resonating within Aetheria and how they could systemically weaken the shadows. Over the next several days, Elena worked side by side with her newfound allies. They shared meals, harrowing tales woven with laughter and sorrow, in the gloomling's hidden sanctum. Through her tenacity and openness, Elena found that many shared similar fears and aspirations, no matter their past conflicts. As bonds formed, she shared stories with her gloomling allies about Mia and Jake, how they had clashed in the past yet emerged stronger for it, their friendship a testament to overcoming the odds. Each encounter with her new allies reinforced the lessons she would eventually impart to her friends: unity, trust, and the power of shared experiences. When the day came to return to the council with insights, the alliance thrummed with palpable excitement. Gloomling stood tall beside her, tension that once brewed in the air dissipating, replaced by laughter and camaraderie, a sight that warmed Elena's heart. "Together, we will face the shadows," the elder gloomling declared, standing at her side as they returned to the Hill of Luminescence, his voice echoing into the heart of Aetheria. May our combined efforts illuminate the darkness. As they approached the council chamber, Elena could feel the resonance of hope surrounding them. Standing before the Council of Light, the Gloomlings and her fellow guardians reflected the unity and strength that Aetheria truly needed. "Today, we forge a new alliance," she declared, her voice steady and confident. "No longer will we see one another as enemies. Together, we stand as one light against the encroaching danger, united in purpose, forging new paths towards a shared future." And as they stood, strengthened by unexpected allies and nurtured by lessons of unity and trust, Elena gazed onward, the flame of Aetheria flickering above them, a beacon shining brightly in the darkness that threatened their world. The shadows had awoken, but together, their light was simply too fierce to extinguish. Chapter 11. The Battle for Balance. The sky over Aetheria darkened ominously as the shadows coalesced, swirling like a tempest across the horizon. The air crackled with tension, a potent sense of impending conflict weighing heavily upon all who stood gathered at the Hill of Luminescence. It was a pivotal moment, and Elena could feel the energy pulsing around her, reverberating with both anxiety and determination. Standing side by side with her allies, her friends Mia and Jake, the council members and the Gloomlings, Elena steeled herself for the confrontation ahead. They had united in purpose, and today was the day they would face the darkness that had afflicted their world for far too long. "Remember what we learned," Elena said, looking around at the gathered forces. "We are strong together. We face Malakar's essence, and we must trust in our collective powers." Mia and Jake stood close, their presence a reassuring anchor amidst the chaos brewing within her heart. "We've fought shadows before," Jake replied, clenching his fists, the elemental magic swirling around him. "This time, we fight for more than ourselves. This time, we fight for Aetheria." Alicia positioned herself at the forefront of the assembly. "We must create a barrier of light to counteract the darkness. The Gloomlings, use your shadows in tandem with our elemental powers. Together, we can create something greater than the sum of our parts," she commanded, her voice a melodic beacon amidst the thrum of rising fear. The air began to shimmer with energy as the Guardians of Light and the Gloomlings joined hands, weaving a tapestry of unknown magic as they prepared to embrace the confrontation. Elena's heart raced as she felt the rush of unity surrounding her. They were all connected, threads binding them together in a web of vibrant energy and purpose. Suddenly, a cacophony echoed through the veil, an ominous laughter that rippled through the air like thunder. Malakar's essence emerged from the shadows, a wisp of darkness that twisted and morphed into a grotesque form. His eyes glowed like molten gold, piercing through the gloom, fixated on Elena as if he sought to consume her very essence. "Foolish mortals," Malakar's voice echoed, deep and resonant. "You think you can restore balance by allying with those who dwell in darkness? You are naive. The shadows hold power that you cannot begin to comprehend." Elena stepped forward, defiance brimming in her chest. "You underestimate our strength, Malakar. We are combined in purpose, and together we will reclaim Aetheria from your grasp." The shadows surged, and Malakar unleashed a wave of darkness that sought to engulf them all. A terrifying wind exacerbated the storm, whipping through the assembly with a chilling ferocity. The Gloomlings returned the wave, their mists intertwining to create a barrier that shimmered between light and dark. "Now," shouted Alicia, "draw upon your magic. Channel it through the flame of Aetheria." Elena focused, feeling the warmth of the flames still aglow within her. With her friends by her side, she closed her eyes and reached out, allowing her essence to flow outwards, to entwine with the hearts of everyone gathered. Mia summoned ribbons of shimmering water, her power reflecting the light of the sun. Jake harnessed the might of earth with a rumble, solidifying the ground beneath them. Together, Elena gathered their magic, feeling warmth and strength pulsate through her as they merged their essences into an incandescent wave of light. "Now, let it flow." Elena cried, her heart bursting with courage. Threads of energy fused together, releasing a radiant beam that shot towards the heavens, igniting the sky with a spectacular brilliance. The light clashed against Malakar's darkness, but he grinned, an unsettling confidence etched across his malevolent face. "You dare to challenge me with this pathetic display? I will swallow your light whole," he countered with a surge of shadow that consumed the air, threatening to extinguish their lifeblood. But Elena, heart-pounding, called upon the memories of their journey, their shared laughter, tears, struggles, and victories. Each moment crystallized into resolute strength. Together, Elena shouted, her voice unwavering, "We are stronger than any shadow. Show him the light within." With renewed fervor, they thrust their combined magic forward. The beam of light expanded, brightening the darkness around them, illuminating the shadows that clung to the ground like tendrils of malice. The onslaught was fierce, but as the light grew, something extraordinary happened. The flowing currents of light and shadow began to dance with each other, feeding off their energies and growing more vibrant as balance reasserted itself. Malakar screamed, rage and despair oscillating within his essence as he felt the power of their unity pushing against his darkness.
No.
This cannot be. The light surged like a tidal wave, breaking through the darkness that had threatened to envelop them all. It was as if the very fabric of magic had merged, spiraling into a vortex, enveloping Malakar's essence and drawing it into the light. Elena and her friends stood firm, their magic linked and coursing together, amplifying the energies sealing the darkness within the radiant sphere. The Gloomlings channeled their shadowy experience into the bond, grounding it, allowing it to flourish and flourish until it shone like the dawn. "No," Malakar's voice reverberated as the essence of darkness began to disintegrate. The sheer force of their combined magic flooded through the battlefield, resonating with a harmony that felt both ancient and new. Suddenly, there was a blinding flash as the darkness shattered, casting away the shadows that had plagued Aetheria for far too long. The light poured through, illuminating the hidden spaces tightened by despair, and the shadows recoiled, retreating into the corners of the veil. A roar echoed through the air as Malakar's essence dissipated, fading into nothingness, swallowed by the purity of their unified magic. Silence fell across the battlefield, thick and heavy, yet alive with the vibrant energy that lingered. Aetheria began to breathe again, the dark clouds parting to reveal a brilliant blue sky twinkling with starlight. Elena took a step back, trembling from the weight of what they had accomplished, but a sense of triumph surged within her heart. "We did it," she exclaimed, turning to her friends and allies, who were weaving around her, laughter bursting forth. The Gloomlings stepped forward, their eyes shimmering with newfound respect. "You have shown us light like we have never known," the elder spoke, his voice carrying a mixture of reverence and gratitude. "We have been blinded by our past grievances, but now we see. We are allies in this fight." Elena beamed, extending her hand to the elder Gloomling. "Together, we will continue to protect Aetheria. This is the beginning of our journey." With the remnants of darkness finally vanquished, the skies of Aetheria brightened like the dawn breaking anew, warming the hearts of all. A deep sense of achievement vibrated through the air, the fragile threads of light twinkling like stars among the shadows. As they stood together, Elena knew one thing for certain. Balance had been restored, but it was their choice to nurture it, a choice they would carry forth, bound together in unity, trust, and unwavering friendship. In this battle, Aetheria had not just emerged victorious, but had found strength in unexpected places. They would continue to nurture this bond, for every shadow held a story, and every light, a promise born anew, shining brightly against the darkness that dared to return. Chapter 12: New Connections. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a golden hue over the newly cleared landscapes of Aetheria. The air carried the sweet scent of renewal as vibrant blossoms erupted from the lush greenery, painting the realm in vivid colors. The darkness that once loomed now receded into memory, leaving behind a profound sense of peace and wholeness. This was a day of celebration, and yet, for Elena, it also marked the beginning of something deeper, a journey of self-discovery and connection that lay ahead. Elena sat perched on a rock overlooking the Vale, a beloved spot she had found during their travels. The sound of laughter wafted through the air as her friends, Mia and Jake, joined her, their faces reflecting the warmth of the sunshine. It felt surreal that just days ago, they had faced Malakar's essence together, their fates intertwined in a battle against darkness. Mia flopped down beside her, her short hair tousled by the breeze. "Can you believe we actually won? I still can't get over it," she exclaimed, a wide grin splitting her face. "We totally crushed it." Jake leaned back, arms stretched behind him as he relaxed against the warm stones, his eyes sparkling. "Yeah, but it was more than just defeating Malakar. We did it as a team. I think we can take on just about anything now." Elena smiled at her friends, spirits lifted by their camaraderie. "You're right. But this isn't the end. It's just the beginning," she said thoughtfully, gazing out at the horizon. "This battle showed us something powerful, the strength we have when we trust each other and unite our magic." Mia nodded, her expression turning contemplative. "And it's not just about magic. It's about building connections, right? Like with the Gloomlings. I never thought I'd be fighting alongside them." Jake sat up, rubbing his chin in thought. "It means we've changed, too. We've grown from our experiences, and we can't lose sight of that. It's way too easy to slip back into old habits." Elena let the sunlight warm her face, a sense of tranquility washing over her. "I've realized that my journey of self-discovery isn't over, either. I've learned so much already, but there's so much more to uncover." She paused, allowing her words to sink in.
My role has changed.
"I'm part of something bigger now, an ambassador of balance." Mia's eyes sparkled with excitement. "You'll be the voice of our new alliance. Imagine how many lives we can touch by bridging gaps between realms." "Exactly," Elena responded. "We can help others see that we're not just defined by our pasts. We can work together for a brighter future, free of old resentments." Just then, voices approached, and the three friends turned to see Alicia walking towards them, flanked by several Gloomlings. The elder among them, who had introduced himself as Nox, stepped forward. "I hope we're not intruding," Alicia said, her voice soothing. "We wanted to speak with you all in private." Elena waved them over. "Of course not. We'd love to hear from you." As they gathered around, Nox stepped into the circle with an expression of humility. "Your bravery has shown us a new path, Elena and your friends. The battle against Malakar forged an unexpected alliance between our peoples, and we are grateful for the trust you've extended to us." Elena felt a wave of warmth ripple through her. "Thank you, Nox. It means a lot to hear that. We're all learning together." The elder Gloomling's eyes twinkled. "Indeed, learning is a powerful journey. And while we lost the shadows that once divided us, we now understand that darkness and light can coexist and complement one another. We must continue to foster these connections, learning from our differences and our similarities." One of the younger Gloomlings chimed in, their voice soft but steady. "We want to bring our knowledge of the shadows to aid your council further. There are untapped resources we possess that could strengthen our united front." Mia's eyes widened with excitement. "That's a brilliant idea. You could help us develop new strategies and solutions for any future threats." Elena felt a sense of possibility swelling within her. This could pave the way for more collaborations. We can set up gatherings where we exchange knowledge, magic, and even culture. Who knows what wonders we could create? Together, we can foster a new Aetheria, Alicia said, her voice bold and encouraging. One that does not succumb to the fear of darkness, but rather embraces it as a crucial part of who we are. Elena's heart swelled with gratitude for the connections being formed. "Let's initiate this right away. I'm ready to work with each of you to make this a reality. We'll host our first gathering in the council hall, with both Guardians and Gloomlings together." Nox's expression softened with understanding. "Your vision exemplifies what this new dawn represents, Elena. We accept," for it is through cooperation that balance can be sustained. With excitement brewing among them, Elena turned to her friends. We need all hands on deck for planning this event. It'll show how far we've come and how strong we can be if we stay united. As plans began to unfold, laughter and ideas blended in the air, a tapestry woven with vibrant potential. The shared purpose reignited the bonds of friendship among them, growing stronger as they worked as a team. In this new world, Elena felt the weight of leadership resting on her shoulders, but rather than overwhelming her, this responsibility ignited a sense of adventure. She knew her journey of self-discovery was just beginning, and as she embraced her place as a bearer of balance, she couldn't help but feel an exhilarating freedom. In the warmth of her friends, the wisdom of the Gloomlings, and the vibrancy of Aetheria itself, Elena found clarity. She may not have all the answers, but she didn't have to face this journey alone. The deeper connections formed would guide her, grounding her as she navigated newfound paths of leadership and harmony. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the skies with orange and soft pinks, Elena lifted her gaze, feeling the promise of the future unfurling before her. Together, they would build bridges across realms and hardships, ensuring a legacy of unity that would stand against any darkness that dared return. Epilogue: A Whisper of Change. The skies above Aetheria glowed gently with the remnants of twilight, stars flickering into existence like distant lanterns. The vast expanse of the night stretched endlessly, promising secrets yet to be unveiled. Joyful laughter echoed through the council hall where a grand celebration had taken place, honoring the newfound alliance between the Guardians of Light and the Gloomlings. Elena stood at the balcony, gazing out over the moonlit vale, a smile tugging at her lips as she reflected on how far they had come. The festivities within were a testament to their shared victories and rekindled connections, yet a subtle unease tugged at her heart. Penny for your thoughts? Mia appeared beside Elena, leaning on the stone railing and glancing at her friend's pensive expression. Elena turned, her cheer fading slightly into contemplation. It's just, we've made such incredible progress, but I can't shake this feeling that something is coming. Mia tilted her head, her brow furrowing. You think it's about Malachar? I mean, he's been defeated, right? We won together. I hope so, Elena replied, crossing her arms as she leaned over the balcony. But remember the whispers of the shadows? The echoes of magic we felt even before Malachar stirred? They haven't fully gone away. As if summoned by her words, an unusual rustle echoed through the trees, drawing both girls' attention. They peered into the shadowy depths of the forest and caught a glimpse of movement, creatures flitting between the trunks, glimmering under the moonlight in forms both strange and enchanting. What are they? Mia whispered, eyes wide as she squinted into the darkness. They look different. Elena's heart raced as colors flickered in the underbrush. Beings with elongated limbs and ethereal wings, their silhouettes dancing playfully in the dim light. Yet, there was an unsettling quality to them, unfamiliarity that sent a shiver down Elena's spine. I don't know, Elena replied, tracing a finger along the cool stone of the balcony. But we need to find out. The sounds of celebration dwindled inside, but the allure of the creatures drew them out further from the hall. The air crackled with an energy that felt otherworldly, resonating with whispers of change. As they approached the edge of the glade, the creatures paused, their luminous eyes locking onto Elena and Mia. Slowly, they emerged from the shadows, revealing delicate features adorned in glistening colors, reminiscent of both the Gloomlings and the Guardians. It was as if they were caught in a liminal space, embodying aspects of both realms. They're beautiful, Mia breathed, entranced by their shimmering forms, yet a sense of caution lingered behind her wonder. Suddenly, a figure stepped forward from the group. The leader, perhaps, its voice soft and melodic. Travelers of light and shadow, we have come to greet you. Elena felt a chill of recognition course through her. The tone embodied an ancient wisdom, but it was mixed with a vibrant essence that hinted at a deeper connection to the realms beyond. Who are you? She asked, her curiosity prompting the question. We are the remnants, echoes of the threads woven between your worlds, the creature explained, glowing softly. We exist where dawn meets dusk and twilight breathes life into possibilities. Your actions in sealing away Malachar have shifted the boundaries of our realms, creating new pathways. Elena's heart raced as understanding dawning on her. So, you're saying the barriers between our worlds are opening wider? Yes, the remnant replied, the light flickering vividly. But with every opportunity for connection, there is also vulnerability. Strange forces awaken in the shadows. Creatures of darkness long imprisoned now seek movement within your realm. Our presence is a signal of impending change, both wondrous and perilous. Mia's gaze darted into the surrounding woods, where the shadows shifted and rustled ominously. We need to warn everyone. If there are creatures on the loose, they could disrupt everything we've built. Elena nodded, resolve tightening her grip. We must gather the council, the Gloomlings, and prepare for whatever else may come. We can't allow fear to dictate our response. Instead, we will build upon our strength. As she looked back at the remnants, a spark of determination glimmered in her chest. Thank you for coming to us. We will face this challenge together. The creature inclined its head, the glow intensifying around it. Your courage is the light that wields balance. With unity, you shall stand strong against the encroaching shadows. You will be the bridge between realms, an embodiment of the change they invoke. With that, the remnants swirled gracefully, melding back into the darkened foliage with a whisper of wind and shimmering light, leaving behind a lingering essence of anticipation. As Elena turned back toward the council hall, she felt a pulse of fortitude within her. The connection between their worlds was deeper than she had imagined, and with it came responsibilities greater than any she had yet faced. Mia walked beside her, fiery determination sparking in her eyes. So, what's the plan? Because I'm all in. We've built this alliance, and we can build even more. Elena smiled, her heart buoyed by her friend's contagious enthusiasm. First, we inform the council and gather our allies. Then, we prepare for whatever challenges may arise. Together, we will forge a path that ensures light and shadow work in harmony. As the stars twinkled overhead, illuminating the night in a vibrant display, Elena felt a new adventure beckoning on the horizon. The struggle for balance was ongoing, a journey infinitely more complex and profound than she had ever imagined. And as whispers of change echoed through the winds of Aetheria, she knew that her story, and the stories of those bound in unity with her, had only just begun.